I still remember the exact moment those words left their mouths.
This is more serious
We can
than
replace
I
you
thought.
anytime. They didn't even flinch when they said it. My stepchildren stood there, arms crossed, eyes filled with arrogance, and I just froze. You know that feeling when something snaps inside you but you can't show it yet? That was me. I had raised those kids like my own for nearly a decade, loved them, fed them, cried over them, and that's what I got in return. Replace me? I remember whispering, trying to process the sheer disrespect, and that's when something in me shifted. I decided to let them do exactly that, replace me, but they had no idea what that really meant. So tell me before you hear the full story, would you have walked away too, or fought to stay in their lives? It all started about 12 years ago, when I married Mark. He was charming, kind, and a single father of 2. Emma, who was 12 at the time, and Jake, who was 9. I knew stepping into the role of a stepmother wouldn't be easy, but I was ready. I had no kids of my own, and I genuinely wanted to build a family with him. Mark's late wife had passed away a few years before I met him, and while he'd moved on emotionally, the kids still carried a lot of pain. I understood that, and I tried to approach them gently. I never wanted to replace their mom. I just wanted to be someone they could rely on. The first few years weren't bad. There were tough moments, sure. Emma ignored me at first. Jake was distant, but slowly they warmed up. I attended every school play, every soccer match, cooked their favorite meals, and spent sleepless nights helping with projects or nursing them through colds. I thought I was earning my place, that I was becoming part of something real. But as they grew older, things began to shift, subtly at first, then painfully obvious. It started with little comments. Emma would roll her eyes and say things like, "You're not my real mom," whenever I asked her to clean her room. Jake would make jokes about how Dad only married you because he was lonely. Mark would tell me to ignore them. They're just kids, they'll grow out of it. But they didn't. They grew into it. Every time I tried to discipline them or set boundaries, I was reminded that I wasn't their mother. Yet whenever they wanted something, money, help, or emotional support, suddenly I was mom. By the time Emma turned 18 and Jake 15, our home was more like a battlefield than a family. Mark had started working longer hours, and I found myself doing everything: bills, groceries, cooking, cleaning, for kids who barely acknowledged me. Still, I told myself to hold on. I'd invested too much love and time to just give up. Then came the breaking point. It was Emma's graduation party. I'd spent weeks planning it. Decorations, catering, even a slideshow of her childhood photos. I included pictures of her late mother too because I knew that would mean something. Everything was perfect, until Emma gave her thank you speech. She stood on the little stage in our backyard, microphone in hand, and said, "I want to thank my dad for everything he's done for me, and my mom, who's watching from heaven. You're the reason I'm who I am." Then she looked at me and smirked. "And to my dad's wife, thanks for the food." The crowd laughed. I felt my throat tighten, my hands shaking as I forced a smile. After the party, I asked her if that was necessary. She shrugged. "Relax, it was a joke. Don't be so sensitive. You're not my real mom anyway." That night, I cried harder than I had in years. Mark found me in the kitchen, tears streaming down my face, and instead of comforting me, he said, "You know how she is. Don't take it personally." That was the moment I realized nobody in that house truly saw me. Not as family, not as a partner, not even as a person who mattered. A few weeks later, things escalated. Jake had friends over, and they were hanging out in the living room, laughing loudly. I overheard one of his friends ask, "Hey, isn't your stepmom strict?" Jake laughed and said, "Oh, please, we can replace her anytime. Dad's had girlfriends before her. He'll get another if she leaves." They all burst out laughing. I walked away quietly, went to my room, and sat on the edge of the bed. My heart was pounding. Replace me? After everything I'd done for them? I wanted to scream, but I didn't. I just broke. That night, while they slept, I started making a plan. For the next few weeks, I detached. I stopped cooking, stopped cleaning, stopped doing their laundry. When Emma asked where her dress was, I said, "Check the washer." When Jake complained there was no dinner, I said, "You're old enough to cook." They were confused at first, then annoyed. Mark noticed too. "What's going on?" he asked. I told him simply, "You all think I'm replaceable. So I'm stepping back. Replace me." He thought I was being dramatic. "You're overreacting," he said. But I wasn't. Slowly, they began to feel the weight of what I used to do. The fridge was empty, the house messy, bills unpaid. I still went to work and came home, but I stopped being the glue that held everything together. Emma started snapping at Jake. Jake argued with Mark, and chaos grew. I just observed, quietly, patiently. So that's the situation I was in, my own family, or what I thought was my family, openly admitting they could replace me. And I had a choice to make. Before I tell you what I did next, I want you to pause and tell me in the comments, if you were in my place, what would you have done? Would you keep trying to fix it? Or would you finally walk away and let them learn the hard way? All right, here's what I did. One Saturday morning, I got up early, packed a suitcase, and sat down at the kitchen table. When everyone woke up, they found me there with my bags. Mark asked, "What's going on?" I said calmly, "I'm leaving. You can replace me now." Emma rolled her eyes. "You're being ridiculous." Jake muttered, "Good luck finding someone else who'll put up with us." Mark tried to talk me down, but I'd already made up my mind. "You've all made it clear I'm nothing more than a convenience," I said. So I'm done. I moved out that day. I found a small apartment nearby, something simple but peaceful. For the first time in years, I felt free. Lonely, yes, but free. I started focusing on myself. I took evening walks, joined a book club, reconnected with old friends. It was strange how light my heart felt without the constant emotional weight of trying to earn love that was never going to be given. Weeks went by. I didn't hear from them at all, until one day, Mark called. "We need to talk," he said. I agreed to meet him at a cafe. He looked exhausted. "The house is a mess," he admitted. "The kids don't help. Emma's been fighting with me nonstop and Jake barely comes home. I didn't realize how much you did." I nodded but didn't say anything. "Can you come back?" he asked finally. I looked him dead in the eye and said, "Why? So I can keep being the unpaid maid and emotional punching bag?" "No, Mark, you don't miss me. You miss what I did for you." He didn't argue. He just looked down, ashamed. A few days later, Emma showed up at my apartment. She stood at the door, awkward and quiet. "Can I come in?" she asked. I hesitated but let her. She sat on my couch, fidgeting. "I didn't mean what I said that day," she began. "We were just stupid." "You did a lot for us." Her voice cracked a little, and for the first time in years, I saw the little girl I used to tuck into bed. "I'm sorry." I wanted to forgive her right then, but something in me held back. I said, "I appreciate that, Emma, but I can't just forget everything. Respect isn't optional, it's earned and kept." She nodded, tears filling her eyes. "I get it," she whispered. "I just wanted you to know I'm sorry." Then she left. Jake never apologized directly, but I later heard through Mark that he'd been having a hard time, skipping classes, arguing at home. I wasn't happy about it, but I wasn't surprised either. When someone cleans up your life for years and suddenly stops, the mess becomes impossible to ignore. Months passed, and the distance between us grew permanent. I didn't return to that house. Mark and I eventually divorced, and I never remarried. I built a quiet life for myself, one where peace replaced chaos, where my worth wasn't questioned daily. And you know what? I never regretted leaving, not once. Looking back now, I realize that love, no matter how much you give, can't thrive where respect doesn't exist. I spent years trying to prove my place in a family that never wanted me to begin with. The day I let them replace me was the day I finally replaced my pain with peace. So if you've ever felt taken for granted, if you've ever poured your heart into people who treated you like an option, let my story be your reminder. Walking away isn't weakness. Sometimes it's the bravest thing you can do. If you were on my side in this story, hit that like button. Subscribe for more real stories like this one. And tell me in the comments, what would you have done if your own stepchildren told you they could replace you anytime? I'll see you all in the next story.